Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. Well, after 2 long years, the UK has decided not to lay the hammer down on loot boxes. So no ban hammer for loot boxes. Their legislation has decided after a 2-year-long inquiry that they are not going to regulate loot boxes under their Gambling Act. So, it's kind of a bad thing, in my opinion. I was hoping that the legislation that they were, after their inquiry, they're going to determine, yes, this is gambling. Too many people are taking money from somewhere, I would say, on this one, but that's just my opinion on it. The UK, it's been 2 years. It took 2 years for them to come to the conclusion that we are not going to basically put any legislation against it. They basically did say that they're looking for the industry to continue to police itself, which, as we all know, sometimes is a good thing. And we have advocated for that in the past with certain things. But in my opinion, the gaming industry has not been able to police themselves on this one. There's a few bad actors in this realm, and the regular gaming industry as a whole has not been able to come together and say, this is bad, stop doing this, and shunning those people. So, in its report, the DCMS described loot boxes as closer to a pack of Pokemon cards than a slot machine, explaining that the items procured from a video game loot box typically don't have real-world value and exist primarily to enhance the user's gameplay experience. Nothing you buy in a video game has real-world value. I'm sorry, but whoever wrote that statement has no clue what the hell they're talking about. Of course, nothing you buy in a video game has real world value. It has an intrinsic value to somebody who's buying it. But it's gambling. You are hoping to get this item in lieu of giving somebody money. So it seems really weird that this came out like this, but it seems really, really backwards. But I was hoping that they would come through with this so that maybe other countries would follow suit. Like if the UK did it, maybe the US legislators would be like, oh, they kind of looked at this. Maybe we should too. I do think that it needs to be legislated, but that's just my opinion. Let's kind of go around the table and see what everybody else feels about this 2 years worth of hard work for nothing to come out of it. Shane, what do you think about the UK not deciding to give the ban hammer to loot boxes and putting it under its Gambling Act?
UK, you let me down. Because what that statement about the real world value, it's a real world value going in to nothingness. It's not like you're purchasing an item, receiving the item you intended to purchase. You're purchasing the ability to hopefully receive what you would want. Just like a pack of Pokemon cards, except Pokemon cards don't screw you. What you have to buy with no guarantee you'll get it. Pokemon cards, you got at least a chance. Most of these loot boxes, a good example is the one we just reviewed. Freaking brain farting. The mobile game that we just reviewed.
Diablo Immortal.
God, brain farts. That's a perfect example of why loot boxes are just evil incarnate. Just plain simple. You get no chance to really get what you're trying to get. And it is forced upon you to buy these things almost. Do you have the option to skip but it takes 10,000 hours to achieve that item that you're trying to get compared to paying $20. The enticement of that is ridiculous. For some people. I have never bought a loot box and will never buy a loot box. And anybody who does is, I'm sorry, but you're just burning your money, you're burning your mom's money, you're creating more problems for yourself. But I'm really surprised. A 2-year study, and this is all they came up with. That's somebody's on a payroll. That's just plain and simple. Somebody is receiving handouts. It's gambling. I mean, it really is. You're giving money for the odds of getting something you want in return. I would, like you said, that intrinsic value. I mean, it may not be $10,000 spitting out of a slot machine, but it is, $10,000 worth of items that you are buying or trying to buy for $10,000. I mean, people spend so much money on Candy Crush, and that's directly purchasing something. But when you go into Diablo Immortal, you're purchasing the hopes and thoughts and prayers of getting something. I mean, that is gambling. That's what you do when you gamble. I mean, you put $1 in the slot, you hope to turn that dollar into $10. You put money into loot box, you hope to turn it into that weapon or that armor or that whatever. No guarantee you'll get it, just like a slot machine. I think it's a load of crap. UK, you let me down because, like Pat said, I was really hoping it would flow overseas when they said, yeah, this is gambling, this is wrong, this is 21 and over kind of bull crap, and it would come over here. Granted, I have zero trust in our government to do anything right by the people, but at least that would get the talk out. So. That's me. Nick, what about you, bud? How do you feel about slopping your dollar in your game and getting to squat?
It's Tuesday. Yeah, it took 2 years for the checks to clear, is what happened. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You could label Pokemon cards, right? Or any type of mystery deck. Booster packs and various things like that. You could consider those gambling as well, right? You don't know what's in the packs, right? Most people that do buy several packs are looking for specific cards or specific decks, and some people do have a problem even with that by buying a lot of decks and and spending a ton of money going through decks looking for particular cards, right? So I would encompass that. They say they're not like that, and I think they are like that. It's the same kind of compulsion and the same kind of that mystery box type of feel where you don't know what's in there, and so you buy several of them to get said item, right? It's all in the same vein. So it's strange to me to see that after 2 years they consider it not to be gambling. I don't know what part of it is not gambling, because you don't know what you're going to be getting, right? Unless you, I don't know. I feel like in this, I'm sure there's probably a more broader context, but I feel like if you're buying something with the knowledge to know that whatever you're trying to get may not be included in said item, I would consider that some form of gambling, right? It's like, I don't know. It's like going to, it's like buying the card packs and from the store, or buying the digital items online, right? I mean, you don't go, when you go to a store and you buy something, you know exactly what's in the container, right? It tells you exactly what's in there. If you buy a box of condoms and you don't open it up later and it's a box of maxi pads, right? So it's not like everything's a mystery, right? You know what's in there, right? And so, I mean, yes, digital loot items they can tell you what you're going to get, right? But that's the same for anything, right? Even Pokemon cards or whatever. There is a chance that you're going to get this rare Charizard, out of the deck. But, I don't know. If we're going on chances, I feel like there's a chance I could go to the casino and put $1 in and win $1 million, right? Everything's got a chance, but I don't know. I feel like in certain things, if I go to the store, if I go online and I buy a video game, or if I go to the store and I buy whatever from the store, a bag of Skittles, I know that that Skittles in the bag, right? It tells me so, and I'm not going to open it up and find a thing full of Jolly Ranchers. I don't know if there's a mystery, like you bought one, but you don't know what's in it, right? It's
That's needles not a Raisinette.
It's needles and razor blades. Oh, you got the wrong one. Dang. So I don't know. I would say that in this case, I think loot boxes are a form of gambling. They are a form of it is a gamble, right? You're taking a gamble on hoping to get something rare out of it. And, even depending on the game and the ecosystem, these random drops can also be sold, right? There's a lot of, these digital items can be sold on the black market of the internet, right? There's tons. I mean, Diablo Immortal, the first week we were playing, I already saw gold sellers, right? I mean, you already saw the thing down the chat system for gold sellers. So who's to say that someone's not going to figure out how to take these items out of the market and be able to sell them outside, right? In some form or fashion. I don't know. Somebody will figure it out. They always do, right? So, you could say, well, it doesn't have any cost outside of the game. And I believe right now it doesn't, but it will at some point. But that's just that particular game. Other games are not in that same vein as Diablo. So I think ultimately it is gambling, and they should have this issue with loot boxes and digital items that are sold in this way in a loot box type format. It needs to be regulated. I 100% agree. The market or the industry itself cannot regulate this. It's gone out of control. And if you don't put any sort of regulation on it, it's going to get further and further out of control. And we're already starting to see that. Diablo Immortal is a great idea, a great first step in it going out of control. And if we continue to let the industry do this, it's just going to be worse and worse and worse, to where everything's going to be monetized in microtransactioned and loot box the hell out of. So we have to put a stop to it. The unfortunate thing is much like probably in the UK, of course I don't live there, but here in the US, I'll make an example here. Everything runs off the dollar bill. So if you're making money, they don't give it, you're making a lot of it, they don't give a crap what you're doing, right? As long as you're making that money, they don't give a crap if you're like, whatever. It doesn't matter. We see industries and stuff get in trouble all the time for things we're like, holy crap, but they only got in trouble because they got caught, right? That was the only reason, right? They only got in trouble because they got caught, and they got enough flack that people had to go, okay, well, I guess we better say something. But otherwise, most of the industry, as well as the other industry, these things that they're doing, they know that they're doing them. As long as they can keep them behind the curtain, then they don't really care. And that's the same thing with loot boxes, right? The government in the UK and our government as well has said it's okay. It's okay because we're making money. So who cares otherwise? So
yeah, one thing I was looking at in that article, the Gambling Health Alliance, GHA, a coalition dedicated to combating the harm caused by addictive gambling, began the hashtag Loot on Loots campaign with the aim of classifying loot boxes as a form of gambling. And I like their percentages they call out here. So out of their survey, 75% of young gamers, 11 to 24, felt that buying loot boxes was bad for their health. 76% believe loot boxes should be illegal for minors. 91%. I think that the way they phrase that 11 to 24-year-olds didn't feel it was bad for their health. People they surveyed felt that it was bad for those age ranges. But 91% agree that loot boxes are a form of gambling. So the UK is, they're basically saying 91% of these people are wrong. And, their study felt otherwise. So I find that granted, surveys have room for error. There's margins in there. But I don't believe in 91% of a group of people being surveyed can be wrong to that point. It's somebody's in a pocket somewhere. And that just really chaps my butt. Because 91% of the people, it's a loot box as a form of gambling. It should be, called it what it is. So that's really crappy. I mean, just really, really crappy.
I mean, you kind of have to be careful with that, right? I mean, if you're calling Pokemon and baseball cards gambling, that's kind of a. I would argue that. I mean, there are definitely arguments to be made that it could be gambling, right? Because most people are not pulling Pokemon cards in hope of getting a card to make their deck better, right? They're pulling Pokemon cards in hope that they're going to get that ultra rare card worth buku bucks. I mean, that's just the real reality is it. And that's how they kind of get around that, right? You're buying an actual product. I'm giving you my money to buy these cards to play this game. You're actually buying a product. With gambling and like casinos and stuff like that, you're not buying a product. I mean, I guess you could argue that it's buying entertainment, but you're not buying a real product. You're just giving money in hopes to make that money make more money, right? You know, and if you look at it like that, then loot boxes would be hard pressed to say that it's gambling, right? If you're comparing them to like Pokemon cards, loot boxes are very much like Pokemon, baseball, football cards. You're hoping to pull that item that you just bought in game with the money that you're getting. You're not hoping to turn that money, especially in video games. There's no way. I guess in some games there is, but there's typically no way you're going to turn that $5 that you spent on that game into more money. You may turn it into more power in the game or more higher leaderboard scores or something like that. So it's an odd slope, right? Because I mean, most people who are pulling Pokemon cards or baseball cards or football cards are looking for that rare card so they could sell, or the hope that has a value. But you get a physical item with it. I give you 10, 20 bucks. I get my booster pack. You know, you can also buy singles. So you can buy the specific card you want. You know, you're just going to have to pay for it at a value, right? Exactly. So that's kind of a weird situation there. If you start calling that gambling, next thing you know, they're going to call Pokemon cards gambling and they're going to outlaw children from buying them. And Pokemon's going to go out of business because children make up the majority of Pokemon's business, right? Can't walk into a GameStop and buy a Pokemon booster pack anymore without your parents because you got to be 18 to gamble, kids. So that is a weird slippery slope. But
they're going to keep him behind the glass.
Right. But like kid comes in with his 20 bucks. I want the Pokemon Blue booster pack. And they're like, you got to get your mom,
see your
kid.
ID.
Yeah, you see your ID.
Yeah, I need the booster pack and the ultra
pack
magnum
of Marlboro
size
Reds.
condoms and Marlboro Reds.
Right. You know, it's a slippery slope there, you know, so, and that's kind of how this article reads too, is that, you know, the DCMS concluded that regulating loot box could potentially overload the responsibilities of their gambling commission. They said, which would run the risk of blindsiding it to other potentially problematic monetization methods. So it says if the UK does eventually decide to regulate loot boxes in its future, it's likely that the Gambling Act would be modified to place age restrictions on it, not like outlawed outright. Similar to existing provisions. Currently over there, the minimum age for betting on football pools is 16 and the minimum age for gambling in casinos is 18. So they'll probably put something like that on there. But like I said, that opens a slippery slope. If you consider that, you know, gambling, then next thing you know, Pokemon cards are gambling, baseball cards, football cards. And those are, I would say, it's turned into more of an adult thing because of the gambling aspect of it. But those are predominantly made popular by children wanting to make their Pokemon decks or their Magic the Gathering decks, or they're getting their cool little hologram football cards and hoping to get their favorite football or baseball player or basketball player or something, or soccer player, you know? So that is kind of an odd place to be. So, the article goes on to state that the DCMS said while its in-game study commissioned by the Department of the Inquiry hasn't found a causal link between loot boxes and gambling addiction, there should be more industry-led protection in place to protect young gamers. So basically, the game industry policing itself. They said, we want to mobilize the industry's creative innovation and technical expertise to deliver tangible progress, improving at pace protections for children and young people and all consumers. Dorries wrote in the forward of the report, if this does not happen, we will not hesitate to consider legislative change. We know that the only time that the government has ever tried to step in and do like mass legislation almost ended badly for the gaming industry. I mean, if it wasn't for the rating system that the game industry itself put together, they would have been regulated to hell by now, because that lawsuit that they had multiple lawsuits against them, and the government, and especially in this country, was about to say, you're about to get regulated into the ground. So I am all for anti-loot box. I hate loot boxes. I don't want them in my games. I think they take away from the game, and they're just a way. In my opinion, they are a company that lacks vision, integrity, and creativity's way of squeezing money out of its people, out of its consumers. Right? We have this shitty game, Call of Duty, all these other games. And all the way we can figure out to get more money out of people is to throw this stupid skin or this stupid gun at you, because we have no creativity left. We're just a stupid drone making a game anymore. That's all those companies are. They're like, let's pump out the next Call of Duty. Let's call out the next whatever. The game that's got the 23rd rendition, and every time they pump out a $70, $60 game, there's also $10 here, $5 there, $30 there. It shows no creativity. It shows lack of anything but ringing the consumers out. Anti-consumerism is what loot boxes are, because we are not satisfied any longer with selling you a game, a complete finished game. That $60 or $70 is not enough money for us. We are too greedy. We want that extra $100 from you after you buy every crap that we have to offer you. At this point, I would just rather them charge me the $100 for the game and be over with it. But they know that if they
Don't
put
give
a
them
game,
ideals.
but no, that they know if they put out a game for $100, nobody's buying the damn thing. If they pumped out a Call of Duty game for $100 and said no loot boxes, no DLC, no nothing, it's a complete game, gamers would give them the middle finger and they wouldn't buy their game. But they found a way to where people are blind to. Here's a $60, $70 game with $50, $100 worth of extra items you can buy. And people just get sucked into buying that, thinking it's only a $60 game. No, it's now a $120 game after you spend another $60 on extra crap. But the government's not going to step in on something like this, because it doesn't, it's not, in their opinion, and in most people's opinion, it's not stepping on a morality ground, right? Gambling is a moral gray area depending on where you live. Lots of states in this country outlaw it unless you're in certain areas, but it doesn't step in any of this weird little sexual or drug or alcohol or cigarettes taboo areas in our country. You know, there's no nudity, there's no sexuality, nothing like that. It's just, here's your chance to spend more money. It's capitalism at its finest. And so this country rewards that type of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about at its finest, but it's definitely at its dirtiest.
It's at its peak.
Yeah, see, that it does fall onto that. You have to be responsible for your addiction to something like that. You know, that's part of the problem too. I have no problem with an age limit on. I think there should be age limits on loot boxes. I think it should be right on the box too. You know, this game contains loot boxes. Must be 18, 21,
I think
whatever.
that is on. I think that's on the box. Games that contain loot boxes is on their ESRB ratings. I thought that was part of the ESRB ratings. I think they have a rating and a designator for loot boxes.
They might. But yeah, it's. I definitely find an age limit for loot boxes. I think that would be just fine. You know, 18 would be just probably the right age, because that, you know, at 18 you better have your own damn job and bite your damn self. So, you know, stealing mom and daddy's wallet. But you know, if we were to go out there and try to get that put into the books to make that 18 on the loot boxes, you know damn well you're going to have all these lobbyists for the, you know, the game companies, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, all them out there saying no, you can't be doing that, you know. But here's some money to go against it.
I don't think so. It'll just be like the Facebook and everything else crap right now. You can't have an account till like 13, but you got these 8-year-olds and 7-year-olds signed up because their mommy used their email address or something like that.
Oh yeah,
whatever.
But you know, they would, as soon as they go against it, as soon as you announce it, they're going to go right against it and they're going to lobby the hell out of it. And it just goes to show you where their mindset's at. I mean, where their money sets at, I should say. But no, I think it would cut down some of it. I mean, not all of it, but I'd say it would knock a good percentage off of them. Because I don't buy my kids in that crap. I don't buy them V-Bucks or points or hearts or whatever it is they want for their phone or their games or any of that crap. Because hopefully they understand it's worthless, and they're just buying garbage for garbage.
Well, not to mention they probably won't be playing that next week. So you just gave them
True.
$10 for nothing. I
True.
mean, some kids will play the crap out of a game and they're in that game for freaking ever. But I just checked the SRB site. They do have a denotation for that stuff. It's in-game purchases with the parentheses that says includes random items. So they do have a designator on their ESRB rating for loot boxes and stuff like that. So
is it just a picture of a butthole getting torn open?
Right. Yeah. It's the pineapple.
Pineapple. Not the pineapple.
All right. Anybody else got anything they want to chat about on loot boxes before we tear this one open?
The only thing I have to say is I know it won't happen, but instead of putting an age limit on it, I just want them to go away forever.
Yep.
Hear, hear.
Get rid of in-game purchases completely. Just give me the complete game for my $70 or $60 or whatever it is.
Yep.
All right. Well, everybody, let us know what you think. What do you think? Obviously we're in the United States. We're not in the UK. So if they did put legislation in there, it wasn't going to outright affect us, but we would hope that our government would follow suit, which, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Let us know what you think about this 2-year-long study that they did, and then basically nothing came out of it. Let us know what you think about that. Let us know what you think about loot boxes in general. Well, are you for them? Are you against them? And if you're for them, I'd like to hear why. What are the reasoning behind spending more than the initial thought? Because loot boxes used to be a thing for loot boxes and in-game purchase used to be a thing for a free game type of game. And basically that has made its way into even pay to play games. So you buy the game and there's still loot boxes and in-game purchases. So let us know what you think about that. If you think they're good, I really want to hear from you on why you think that's a good idea and stuff like that. And as always, if you've got to the end of this video, which you're watching this now, you made it to the end, you might as well subscribe if you're not subscribed. And don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to hit that bell for notifications so you stay up to date with all new videos that we do multiple times a week. And we hope you enjoyed this episode and hope to catch you in the next one.
See ya.